Friday live from the Seaport, brought to you by Chase. Great start to the weekend last night. Huge weekend coming up, college and pro. Graziano, Bart Scott, Tannenbaum, Marcus Spears is here. Let's go. Thursday night football kicked it off across the river at MetLife, and it was, well, I wouldn't call it a masterpiece from either perspective. We had Dak on one side, we had Daniel Jones on the other. We had Malik Neighbors, and Bart, if he's going to get this kind of open, it's going to look good.
Oh, absolutely. This kid is dynamic. He's a tremendous football player. Hopefully he's going to be able to get back for him. He's the #1 weapon in a short season. Like Swagu said, he's only been there 12 minutes.
Look at that move on Andrew Booth Jr. Giants would kick a field goal, which would be a theme for the night. Meanwhile, Graziano, all day yesterday, Orlovsky was here saying, find a way to get CD involved. Find a way to get CD involved. They did that.
Yeah, it's good that they were watching Orlovsky on Get Up yesterday. I think that, I'm sure Dan appreciates that very much. Look, they line him up in the backfield. We've been saying they need a running back in Dallas. Hey, maybe it's CD Lamb.
He had 5 touches on their second drive. And later in that drive, it's Rico Dowdle, an actual running back, making the catch and giving the Cowboys the 7-3 lead. Second quarter, it's 7-6. All right, you want to see something explosive out of CD Lamb? Bart, here's a 55-yard touchdown. Someone tell me, what's the safety doing?
I have no idea. Stevie Wonder would have took a better angle than this one. I have no idea what he's doing right here. CD Lamb, reservation for 6. I'll see you in the end zone.
Watch this play again. Tannenbaum, what?
He did not.
Yeah, he tried to put the brakes on a little bit too late.
Cowboys up 14-6. CD had 7 catches, 98 yards, and that touchdown. Fourth quarter. Now, here are back-to-back terrible plays in this game. This is a 3rd and 6. Don't pay attention to the ball. Watch number 11. Dan, what do we know about Micah Parsons?
They x-rayed his ankle after the game. The x-rays came back negative. They'll do an MRI today to figure out what is wrong with it.
Yeah, you're going to see him go off at a cart, so that's obviously not the last thing in the world you want to see. Unless it was this. It's Malik Neighbors. This is the next play on the 4th and 6. This is in the fourth quarter again. The Giants are going to turn it over. The pass is incomplete. But watch how hard Neighbors' head hits the ground, so he will be in concussion protocol, Dan.
Was diagnosed with a concussion, so he'll have to clear concussion protocol before returning to play.
It's tough to watch. He's been so good. Just spectacular. Anyway, off he goes. Cowboys now 33 seconds left, looking to extend a 5-point lead to an 8-point lead. That one is wide right, and that might have been important for some of you, I said in my Al Michaels voice, in a game where the line was 5.5 points. Giants get one last chance here, 15 seconds left. Gonna air it out. What do you do on defense?
Knock it down, unless you're selfish. I need a stack.
Pick it off. Dak, 22 of 27, 221 and 2 touchdowns. It wasn't a masterpiece, but it was a win. Here was Dak after the game.
Huge, huge, huge. Huge, especially when you compare it to the alternative, what that would have been like. It was huge. As you said, a young team, young linemen, got to change the narrative, and that's what this game did, especially over a long weekend. Puts us at 2-2, allows us, a couple of days to get our body right, mind right.
Well, it wasn't perfect, you know what I'm saying? I'm done scraping by. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to scrape by no more. I want legit wins. I want to win consistently. And we got a tough matchup next week. I'm going to try to get back for it.
Marcus Spears is our beloved former Cowboy, and I'm going to start with you, Marcus. Would you rather? All right, I can only look at your face. You have the most expressive face in television. What is it you are right now bursting to say?
And I don't feel good about it, G. Like, I don't feel good about it. And it's hard for me because I know how hard it is to win in this league. Whether that's luck, whether that's you being a better team, or whether that's things just falling in place. But that performance last night, outside of some individuals, it just didn't give you the sense that Dallas took this huge step forward after what we watched them do against the Baltimore Ravens. And that is the problem for me. Like, if you're going to come out and be a different team, and we looked at 2 weeks ago and how that game was dominated, even though it ended up 28-25, it was dominated by the Baltimore Ravens. And then you come into this game with a team that is absolutely inferior to you. I don't care what anybody says at this point with the New York Giants. And you still look like you're trying to run in mud. You still look like you're trying to figure things out in the run game offensively. You give up some explosive defensively. Like, these are the things that I was looking for. I was looking for Dallas to be able to come out and be dominant and say, okay, this team dominated a team that they were supposed to, and now we can look forward to the things that we take away. They played the run better, but the Giants suck at running the football, right? They gave up some things. The Giants gave up some things in the secondary, but they were playing without their starting corners. Like, it was a lot of things left to be desired. So with some of the good that came out of it, you still don't walk away from this game saying Dallas took this giant leap after we saw them get dominated against the Ravens. And that is my problem and issue with coming out of this game. The Giants are very bad, y'all, and they didn't dominate the game.
Devin Singletary had 14 carries for 24 yards against a rushing defense that had just been gashed, right? I mean, to say the least, in each of the last 2 weeks. Do you emerge from this game? Because you heard, I liked what Dak said. You know what? We're on the road in the division on a short week. We found a way to win. There were no bad wins in the NFL. Think what we're having. Think of the conversation we're having here this morning. If the Cowboys lose that game, we're writing off their season. We're firing the coach. We're making all kinds of changes. So I don't know. Did you emerge more or less optimistic about the Cowboys after last night?
Less optimistic, because listen, the standard is supposed to be the standard. We hear Mike Tomlin say it all the time. The standard is supposed to be the standard. And the reality is, this defense is way worse than it was last year under Dan Quinn. It was more aggressive. It seemed faster. Get this fixed.
I do want to ask you, though, because you might have said that on the plane. You might have said that in a meeting. You're okay with him saying it like that after the game? I'm
sending a direct message to everybody, because now they're going to be asked about it. And now we got to be held accountable. We got to watch this film and say, hey, man, if you're supposed to be in this gap, why are you in this gap? Like, all the little stuff that you can get away with, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes losing is the best thing to happen to you. When you talk about the Ravens, because you have to analyze everything that contributed to the loss. Sometimes when you win, things that can get you beat get swept underneath the rug because you had a feeling to win it. So I think that they feeling themselves. Don't start feeling yourself, man.
Greedy, if Bill Belichick was sitting right here, he always talks about, hey, if we're going to lose to our opponent, let's make him beat us one-handed or left-handed. And at least what they did last night, Mike Zimmer took away something, the run. I understand Devin Singletary is not Jim Brown, but at least going into Pittsburgh, their next opponent, they're going to say, hey, we could stop the run. And if we could stop the run, then we're going to make Justin Fields beat us from the pocket. The last 2 weeks, they couldn't stop anything. So, like you said, there's no bad win in the NFL, and they're improving at least in one critical area.
Graziano, here's what I'm interpreting. Like the Carolina Panthers, we thought might be the worst team in the history of sports. And then they went out and they won a game last week and played a lot better. They made the quarterback change. I guess what I'm saying is, in order to react to the Cowboys' win last night, the way these guys are, we just have to make the assumption the Giants are terrible. Like, the Giants are going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. Otherwise, you go on the road on a short week in your division and find a way to win. That's supposed to be a positive accomplishment.
I'm with you. I think you don't want to judge teams on these Thursday night performances. Like last week, we're talking about how good the Jets looked on Thursday night. That's the exception, especially early in the year. I mean, they turned it around in 3 days, right? And yes, I understand we don't think the Giants are much. But, you know, where are we getting beat? Run. We got to stop the run. What are the Giants good at? Malik Neighbors. We got to make sure he doesn't get past the defense. And other than one play, he didn't. They figured out a way to win. Was it pretty? Of course not. But the point is, survive and advance on these Thursday night games, and that's what the Cowboys did. Now, to the question of more or less optimistic, I'm unchanged. I didn't see anything to make me more optimistic. But I'll give them a break on a Thursday night and say that, you know, they can be better than that.
They are setting Dak Prescott up to be the fall guy once again. They're too
They paid him $60 million a year.
They just gave him.
We should all be such a fall guy.
They are too reliant on Dak Prescott, and he's going to throw. You start having to throw the ball more because you're one-dimensional. You're going to have to keep up with some of these good football teams. And when the interception and turnovers come, they say, "See, Dak turned the ball over."
He had two complete passes last night.
Can I say something?
I'm not talking about what
Can I say something?
I'm talking about in the future.
Swagu, that's what I was saying before. Orlovsky said yesterday they're making it very hard on Dak. Is that what you are seeing?
Absolutely. Absolutely, like the creativity. But the Giants did make it hard on Daniel Jones, too, even though we don't think Daniel Jones is a great quarterback. Look, these were two teams. Let's live in reality, right? The Dallas Cowboys got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs on the back end that we consider guys that can change the game. Who else? Who else? Like, DeMarcus Lawrence is a really good player, and he had times where he would shift the game by the plays that he made, and now he's compromised. Obviously, Micah may be hurt. But who else on this team is going to bother people going down the road. Like, let's stop living in this imaginary world. Like, we walked away from this game. Like, I hear you, Grimes, and I hear you, Tannenbaum, but nobody, if you going into a locker room, and that's where I think me and Bart coming from, when you Dallas and you going back into the locker room, you say, we can hang our hat on, we stop the run. The Giants can't run the football. They couldn't run it if you played bad run defense.
Imagine what it would have felt like if they didn't stop it.
So at the end of the day, man, we are looking at a Dallas Cowboy team that is very top heavy with the talented guys that they have, and the rest of this roster, we trying to figure out, are they good enough to stay afloat? And we're gonna find out soon. Because let me tell you this. The Detroit Lions, they going to run it regardless if they averaging 1 yard a carry for the first quarter or not, and you got to figure out how to stop it. The Steelers are going to run the football, and they got the threat of the quarterback run. Competency. If the 49ers wasn't hurt, that wouldn't be 35%. It'll be 95%. If their whole team wasn't hurt. Let's stop living in this imaginary world like we walking out of New York saying, oh my goodness, we fixed everything. The previous 2 weeks, you look like you couldn't stop a cold with good teams. You didn't play a good team on Thursday night.
The opposite of that. Like, that's my whole point. They didn't fix anything. Like, I'm with you. Like, where's it going to get better for the Cowboys? Like, who's going to play a lot better than they're playing right now? That, to me, is the concern.
I was talking about Tannenbaum.
Let's be clear about what that graphic says, Marcus, though.
I was gearing that towards Tannenbaum, Grimes.
You don't have to
My bad.
Right,
I was gearing that whole thing that Tannenbaum talking about.
Let me make what the graphic is telling you is the Cowboys' chance of winning that game. Okay,
right.
So what our analytics are telling you.
Oh yeah, my bad. So
they will be underdogs
chance to win
in all of these coming up games.
Yeah.
So Bart, leave the schedule up there, Cindy.
Yeah.
Are they going to win at Pittsburgh?
Nah, that defense.
They're going to beat the Lions at home.
No bueno.
At San Francisco.
Nope.
At Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. Home Eagles.
Hell no.
All right, so we're week 10 and you're done. Right, what you're telling me is if those things come to fruition, we are 10 weeks into the season and you're buried. That would leave you.
They might win two out of those games.
That's not true, though, because in a 7 playoff system, and you look at the West, like San Francisco has injuries, the Rams have injuries.
Seattle looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's one team. But my point is they have a really good quarterback. And look, Swagu, I understand what you're saying, but we saw improvement last night, and I get it, who Devin Singletary is.
And what?
But they're going to play the run better against Pittsburgh. They have something to build on. The last 2 weeks, there's nothing, and I've been with teams, guys, when you can't stop anything.
I think Marcus just threw up.
Do you understand?
Is that possible, Marcus? We just lose you, Swagu.
Right, Swagu.
With Justin Fields, that's 11 on 11.
Swagu,
I was just about
to
say that, Mike T. Mike T, everything is not the same, bro. It's not the same. Like, we know the Steelers' run game is not the same as the New York Giants' run game. If they go stop the Steelers, Mike T, and we come on get up the next morning and you say they got that fixed, I'll hold your hand and we'll sing great songs. But right now, it was what me and Bart are saying is the fact that they stopped the New York Giants was more about the Giants' incompetency as opposed to the Dallas Cowboys taking some major step in becoming a better run-stopping defense. That's the point.
It's a really weird league. I mean, if there's,
I'm sure the Giants, who they played last night. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, we demand to play a tougher team.
You're supposed to dominate.